Do you have the most beats on the BeatStars platform?
You said I think it was Tundra Beats had a couple more than me, but I upload 2 beats a day.
You have 1,550, I believe.
Yeah.
I have between 1,300 and 1,400. Let's be honest, you're not gonna find these videos anywhere else. Why? Because I make them. So it would really help me out if you subscribe. If you've already subscribed, what also really helps is if you like the video and leave a comment. It's hard in the era of clickbait videos on YouTube and negativity in the producer community, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
When I started making music at 19, that was like my end goal was to like just try to get out to LA and experience the networking and the connections and what LA can offer. Obviously, you know, it comes with a downside, but so doesn't anywhere you live. Nah, the last place I was before this was Florida, and I was I was at a studio just like working 70 hours a week, like killing myself over audio engineering for a lot of mid artists. Shout out to you, Florida artist. So, you know, it was good, but I needed to rack up bread, and so that's what I did. And I don't know, it just dawned on me like I needed to get out of there and get over to here. So yeah, I just sat down and grinded for like 6 months and made as much bread as I could, and told myself, you know, I'm going to give myself a timeline here, and if I can, you know, turn a profit here, then I'm good, and if not, then I'll go back east.
Meanwhile, me and Jake are just constantly pressuring him in the group chat every week to move out here.
Yeah, it was a fucking headache. Also, there are very talented artists in Florida, if anyone's watching. Yeah, there is talented artists in Florida.
Yeah, shout out to Plies. Anyway, I've just always wanted to give Plies a shout out. He deserves a shout out. Anyway, Tyler, you have the distinction of typing the words multi-platinum producer in your Twitter bio.
Yes.
Give me a rundown of your platinum records.
Cool. So this is a juicy and controversial story.
He's actually never produced for anybody, and it's a lie.
Yeah. So he's my ghost producer.
Okay.
So when I was 18, that's when I like first started engineering music, and I did it as a joke. To be honest with you, it was just like wanted to see.
How do you engineer as a joke? Out of curiosity.
Well, like just, the whole situation was a joke because, like, you know, I was making music with my friends, and
you're just there putting like 50 compressors on the same bus and laughing at yourself. Yeah. So I like went up to my homies and I was like, "Yo, like, should I just try and start a studio like out of your basement and see what happens?" So not a joke, but I was, you know, it wasn't a serious thing at the beginning of all of it. And so when I started doing that, I had went to high school with Landon Cube and the Cuff Boys and everything. And so me and Landon had made music for a while, and then he hit me up about this dude out in Philly, out in PA, you know, who was Lil Skies at the time, and it still is, I suppose, even to this day. So yeah, he hit me up about this song that he needed mixed. And so literally me being 18, I didn't know what I was doing. But I started talking to Skies about it, and I was like, I'll do it for $50 and a handshake, you know, and like, that's what we did. So I mixed the record for him, and then that dropped, and obviously that is now, you know, a multi-platinum record. It's got, you know, I think it's 2 times platinum at this point. And so that's what I have as my credit for that. The controversy is that when I had mixed that song, and I have the original mix files for it too, so like that's sitting in my Dropbox. But the controversy is that when I had mixed that and sent him that, like delivered the final product, it wasn't more than 2 weeks that I had been completely shut out from any contact with him or anyone, you know, involved with that record. So I have it. It's in the works right now with my lawyer to officially get that plaque. But right now, my argument is with the master that I hold in my Dropbox and the original session. It's a long ass story. Okay, so I don't understand. What's the conflict then? They're just not authorizing, the label's not authorizing the plaque?
No, the label isn't recognizing the credit, and that's
they're not recognizing your engineering credit. Sorry, it cut out. Correct. That's what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and the artists themselves are not responding.
No, and it's been like that for a while, and you know, it is what it is at this point. But that's why I'm my lawyer on it now. So you know, we're making moves on that. We're trying at least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't talk to a lot of people that I went to high school with. What's the other record? Because or are you talking about this is multi-platinum because that project went several times platinum?
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
nice. I got it.
Yeah. Red Roses did, you know, by itself. So that's where that title comes into play.
Now I gotta listen to this to see what a hit record that was mixed by someone who was engineering as a joke sounds like. Because that's a hell of a combination.
Like a joke.
Okay. All right, let's move on then.
I did not know what the fuck I was.
I mean, does anybody? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing with the stream. Nick, tell me about the Sleepy Hollow placement. By the way, congratulations. But how was that beat made? How did it get to the artist? And then how did it end up charting on Apple Music and other top charts?
Yeah, so we were actually working on loops for Lil Mosey because he came over to Big Hit's house. And so we were just trying to churn out as many loops as possible. And that was one of those loops. And it obviously didn't end up landing with him. So I sent it over to Devil, who uploaded it to a loop website. And Great John ended up finding the loop on there, doing drums on it, adding that sample. And that's how he got it. I guess got to Sleepy Hollow and cut the record.
Which loop website?
Slooply.
Slooply?
Sounds like a stroke.
Yeah, Slooply.
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 And that's so. Tell me about that site because it can't be like a looper, man, where you put the loops up and whatever happens happens. It sounds like you actually are a co-producer on this particular record. So how does this whole Slooply thing work? It seems different from the average loop.
So Devil actually
source.
Yeah, so Devil actually uploads to like multiple websites. Oh shit, is it? So I don't know necessarily the terms of each specific website, but I know between 2055 and the Suicide Boys record that has also been placed on there, that they've gotten it handled well. So I trusted Dev to make sure that I wasn't getting like iced out of any record.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so Devil is Evan, and he's had a lot of luck lately. Shout out to him. So he's not living out there. I forget it. Does he live out there? Because you said you sent him the track.
Yeah, no, he's I think in Connecticut. I know it's like it's definitely on the East Coast, near Massachusetts. I'm pretty sure it's Connecticut, but no, he doesn't stay out here.
So that he's someone that you've met or you've never met?
Yeah, he took a trip to LA a couple months ago. We cooked up with him over at Very Special Studios, but we've been tight before that, just over Twitter.
Okay, cool. So a lot of producers who have never gotten placements are pretty apprehensive, and they may have some ideas in their head about what happens when you get a major placement. Some of those ideas might not be correct. What actually happens? What's the process like, or what has it been like for you? Yeah, so
you either get your manager or your lawyer to either reach out to the team or they reach out to you, of the team of the artist that cut the record. In my case, Dev hit me and said, "Hey, we got one with Sleepy Hollow. Here's Jeff's number and email. Go ahead and reach out to them." We reached out. And they said, "Hey, yes, this is your loop. Here's our offer." And there's several counter offers and whatnot that you have to go through to make sure both parties are happy. And then they send over the paperwork. You look over the paperwork, make sure it says what everyone thinks it says. Redline it if you have a lawyer, which that's the process this step of the process we're on right now.
It's a long process.
And yeah, and once the paperwork is good to go, sign it. Hopefully you get your fee paid and you register it with BMI. If you have a publisher, they register it with BMI for you.
We found a lawyer on lawyersrus.com.
Okay. That sounds like a fake website. Is that real?
No.
Because
it is, don't go
I
to
know
it.
there are like boutique legal service websites.
Like your Rocket Lawyers and stuff. No. I don't know how we found Janae. Through Jake. We found Janae through Kaz. Yeah, Kaz Kaz has a ton of connections. And so it really, to give you a serious, you know, answer, in our scenario at least, it just came through being really good at networking and knowing the right people. And because of that, we have people who have experience with lawyers who have been in the game. And because of that, we were able to get connected with those lawyers and use them for, you know, whatever we need. So honestly, just keep networking and find your way to everyone that you need on your team. You know, like eventually it's going to happen if you just keep doing it.
So how did you communicate with the lawyer so that, and how did the lawyer communicate with you such that you were able to understand all the deal points? Because, you know, obviously the lawyer is the one redlining and negotiating on your behalf, but how do you know that the lawyer is giving you the deal that you want?
Sure.
Well, it's just a matter of you kind of have to understand what you deserve on the record and your position in the music industry, how much leverage you have. So, I mean, we had a goal in mind of what we were going to go for before we even talked to the lawyer. And you have to give in some points. So I had to take, in this case, a little bit less on the advance to get a little bit more on the publishing, which is fine. That's what you have to do sometimes. But all in all, like we had our goal for what we wanted on the record before we even talked to Matt. In this case, for Matt Buser was the lawyer that handled this record. So shout out to him. And then he did a good job. Alex also helped negotiate, Alex Loyalty. And I ended up with something that I was personally happy with, because, you know, I know what I wanted on the record. But that's all it comes down to, really.
Yeah, but okay, so how did you learn what all this stuff meant? Because these deals are sometimes 20 some odd pages long, maybe longer, a lot of legalese, stuff that, like, when I signed my first deal, I didn't know what a point bump was, so it just wasn't there, and I couldn't tell. Nowadays, if there were not a point bump, I would tell my lawyer there better be one in there. But also, I didn't have the greatest lawyer starting out, so I had to find better lawyers that would actually communicate with me. But how did you learn? I mean, were you reading books? What resources did you have that allowed you to understand, at least at a more complex level than the average person, what all of these deal points meant, what you deserved? You know, how did you get to that point?
Really just through trial and error, working with like independent artists and whatnot. You know, I had to figure out what publishing was, so I Googled it, and I just, you know, I talked to people that I knew, like Rick and Thaddeus. I had a lot of questions about publishing for them, and they helped me a lot with that. But just, yeah, talking to people that I feel have a better understanding than I did, and than I probably do now, and Google as well.
Okay. What should producers look out for when they get a placement, or really when they sign any kind of contract? So
you want to make sure that you never give up your publishing. That's kind of the number one rule. True. Ideally, if it's like one loop maker and one person did the drums, it would be 25-25. And you also have to understand that, you know, sometimes the guy who did the drums may be in a better position than you, or be in a position that you want to continue working with them. So maybe you have to take 5-10% less in the publishing. It's all circumstantial, but make sure you get a piece of the publishing. Ideally, you can get a point or two on the master. Again, situational, depending on how many producers are on the record and what label they're on. But yeah, just understanding your worth and knowing that you're getting a piece of each part of the pie in advance also would be ideal.
There's also there's a really fine, especially starting out, there's a really fine line that you need to walk in regards to, like, you might be put in a situation where you are certainly not getting the best deal out of the bunch, you know, whether it's a collaborative loop or a collaborative beat, or even if you're the one person who produced it and you're not getting the best deal, you know, in comparison to the artist. But when it comes to your first few placements, you know, whatever it might be, like 1000% know your worth, but also know where you are, like, personally able to bend, and where you're okay with kind of, you know, allowing things to happen that you're not too comfortable with at the beginning. Because at the end of the day, like, number one, like, do not burn bridges, even if you know, hate the person that you're dealing with on the other side. Because like, you taking a small L but still receiving something but also keeping a relationship through that is going to benefit you so much more in the long term than it would just, you know, cash grabbing because you're greedy and, you know, you think you're supposed to get a fat bag for your first placement. Like,
Sure.
It's just important to know, kind of thing.
We got a question. Do labels get percentages for beat rearrangement? I've never seen a label negotiate for a percentage of anything.
Yeah.
Usually there's,
So-
if we're talking about arrangement, there's a specific person arranging it that would get a percentage.
It's just like another producer doing it. So like be kind of a similar agreement, I suppose.
Yeah, because we get caught up on these titles and these roles, and ultimately when it comes down to underlying composition, everybody's considered a writer. So just kind of look at if you want to simplify, just look at it as everyone as a co-writer. Okay, cool. So you're both members of Viral, along with Jake Mark, who I talked to last week. So I appreciate you jumping on as quickly as you did. What does it mean?
The invite, man.
Yeah, no, of course. And you braved construction vehicles and rough terrain to be here. What does it mean to be a part of Viral?
Chilling with the homies, bro, making music.
Yeah, honestly, it's just a group of guys that really like to be around each other and really like to work with each other.
That's us.
And all want the best for each other. So we're all looking out for each other, making sure we're sharing our opportunities with each other when we can.
I'll say this about it, and not even to like beat around the bush. It from everything that I've seen in the industry, this collective, like this group, it's a rare thing that I personally don't think happens very often. Like you have a lot of producer collectives that come onto the scene, and they've got great energy and there's good synergy, and a lot of it is like, you know, you just meet cool people on the internet and you link up and you do your thing, and that's that. But for whatever, like Viral shit, we've been doing this for how long now? Like
A year.
No, together as a group, we've been like 3 years, 2 years.
Oh, just like, yeah, unofficially, yeah.
Yeah, and like I literally, I cannot tell you how it happened, man. We legit for the first time, most of us for the first time, met in LA at an you know, an Airbnb, just off the random, and somehow, you know, we connected, and like there was a real brotherhood that was made, and like to me that's mad important. That's mad important when it comes to the success of you and your people around you. So I don't know, Viral's cool, man. It's like I don't know, it's like family.
Yeah, I'll also say that one thing that's very important in a collective and that I think has helped a lot with Viral's success is that we all have a common goal in mind.
Yeah.
One person wants to be a YouTube producer. One person wants to make loops. One person, like, we all have to, at least to an extent, have a common vision that we're all working towards.
I just be playing video games.
Yeah, okay, no, and thanks for bringing that up, Nick, because I look at Viral and I see that everyone's doing a lot of work individually and everyone's just kind of doing their own thing on an individual basis, but there's a lot of collective work as well. So what kind of commitments are there? What kind of expectations come with being a part of a team like Viral?
It's really just the expectations aren't anything crazy. I mean, it's like just be consistent with uploading your loops, be communicative with the rest of the team, and like and stay active in terms of, you know, keeping up to date with what we're doing and with who we're working with, and like that's like baseline, literally what we need to keep focusing on, because like first and foremost, like we've put our priority and our focus on making loops, and so as long as the team, whether you're in Germany or fucking Timbuktu or LA, like we have a Dropbox and everyone can make loops. And so in terms of the expectation, that's kind of the baseline for it. Other than that, it's just be good, be talented, and stay active with the rest of the team.
Okay. Tyler, I believe your favorite VST is Serum, correct?
Yeah, how'd you know that?
I know a lot of things.
All right, already war.
Do you do a lot of sound design then?
Yeah, I enjoy sound design. I'm actually working on a Serum pack right now. So pretty excited about that.
Do you think more producers should get into sound design?
To be honest with you,
No.
starting out, no, I don't. I think it's a very niche market, but I think it's important, and you know, I enjoy doing it, so I'm doing it. Yeah, as a producer, man, like, you've got a million different sounds out there that you can already choose from. So run with those and do your thing with it. If you have time and the resources and you're able to, like, jump into your sound design when you can, because I think it's important, and I think you can make money off of it too at the end of the day. You know, it's just all about marketing. So
did you start doing sound design as a joke?
yes, actually I did. It was about the same time.
Okay, so what would be a good place to start? So let's say there are producers that are watching this that do want to get into sound design. Where's a good place to start? Because it can be overwhelming.
Did you fart in it?
No, what?
Someone farted in this room. I don't know, bro. Someone smells. Where do you start for sound design? Honestly, YouTube. That's gonna be my answer for like 90% of these questions. Is YouTube. If you happen to know someone that knows sound design, then cool. But yeah, I would say do your research on YouTube, and number two, just fuck up a lot, like make a lot of bad sounds, and do it as much as possible so you can understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and you know, eventually, just like anything else, you're gonna, hopefully you can learn from your, you know, mistakes and start building off that. And a lot of what I did is that it's just working with really shitty things and not making good things, and then turning that into gold eventually.
Yeah, I mean, like beats.
Yeah.
Okay, Nick, do you have the most beats on the BeatStars platform, or are you?
I remember that. Well, apparently
up there?
Most beats.
Who has the most?
You said, I think it was Tundra Beats had a couple more than me, but I upload 2 beats a day, so.
Dude, I have no clue.
Soon enough. I have I think almost 1,600 now, but I don't know how many Tundra has. It's not a competition.
Yeah. You have 1,550, I believe.
Yeah.
I have between 1,300 and 1,400. I thought I had a lot. I didn't, you know.
It's a lot. Yeah.
I haven't looked at like Cash Money AP's stats though, so maybe we're both just fooling ourselves. How many beats do you make a day?
Well, lately it's been a lot less since I've started focusing on loops. It's been like 2 or 3 now, just to get those YouTube and BeatStars beats up. But before I was making like 5 or 6 beats in a day. But like with loops, I'll make like 3 or 4 loops in a day, and then those 2 or 3 beats.
Just gasped.
Oh, what did he say?
He's stupid.
Everybody is going to jail.
Yeah, sorry, bro. That's a federal crime for sure.
All of us. Lock me up right now.
I literally just stole like 10 of them last night.
No, it's not illegal.
Hey, I would really just go to the website and just read up for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm laughing, but everybody who has any questions about any kind of licensing for loops should ask. If you're not sure, figure it out. If there's not if there aren't terms of service, if there's not a license agreement or anything like that, a EULA, then that might be a red flag. And if you can't ask the person, because that happened to me the other day, and I don't know if you've had experiences with this, where someone sent me loops and I replied with a question of, you know, what are your terms? And I'm not going to make loops with you because I don't know you, and I didn't even give you my email to send loops, and you know, they were good loops, but what are your terms? And he was like, we're not discussing terms. We haven't even gotten a placement yet. I'm like, I'm definitely not working with you, because the second I get a placement, you're going to want something crazy because we didn't agree on anything prior to that. So you can just name your price, and I'm in a bad position because I kind of have to negotiate with you, and you might just be an awful person. I have no idea. So do you deal with stuff like that?
I can't say that I've ever had to deal with anything like that, but I do know that Big Head, part of the reason he wanted to sign Viral Effect was because they dealt with somebody, I think it was a YoungBoy placement, I could be wrong about that. They had placed a loop, or no, it might have been Lil Tracy, I don't know. They had placed a loop with Big Head's beat, and then that loop was also placed with another beat, and the guy ended up clearing the other song and not Big Head's song. So I know he's had to deal with that. And so that's kind of, I guess, also part of our role at Viral is, you know, primarily signed to Big Head. We have to clear Big Head's songs over any other placement.
Well, yeah, and it's like, what's the point of using another producer's loops if the clearance isn't guaranteed? Why?
I mean, I couldn't answer that.
That bothers me. That for real. That really bothers me because I may as well just sample, you know, Curtis Mayfield or something because I'm gonna have to clear that. What's the point? He's a better musician than whoever's sending me loops. Why would I? You know what I mean? What's the point?
Yeah.
Isn't that the whole point of getting producers to send you loops? Is so that the clearance is guaranteed and it's an easy process?
Yeah, it is.
I'm getting mad. So Cass really wants me to ask this question. What's the worst part about living with Jake, Nick? Doesn't he do did he do porn?
Yeah.
Someone did porn.
Yeah. He was on
That's none of my business. But that's
But was he doing it in the house?
The worst part about living with Jake is his dog.
His dog.
We just got a new couch actually yesterday because our old couch was just pissed on, pooped on, bitten up.
That new couch isn't gonna last.
It's faux leather now. The other one was, I don't know, cloth or whatever. The porn is not the worst part. I don't care.
Possibly the best part.
Well, the porn pays the rent. Well, so it was Jake because I just saw Jake on Twitter flexing about how much money he was making off OnlyFans or something. And I was just like, okay.
Did you?
That was a while ago. It's not me anymore.
Damn.
I'm a changed person.
I mean, why change if you're making money off of something? You're not hurting anybody. Anyway,
Petition to get Jake Mark back into porn.
Yeah, well, it was like I don't know about his arrangement with the person who was actually creating it. I don't know. This isn't his interview. Why are we talking about Jake? Switching gears.
Are you recommending that?
I recommend it for anybody that wants to. I feel like honestly, like I don't know if anyone's ever dated anyone who was in the porn, at least on an amateur level in that industry, but I have, and it's really similar to beat leasing. You know, it really, because you're creating content that feels personal.
You can sell exclusive videos?
Yes.
Yeah, you can sell exclusive videos, custom videos, or you can just kind of license your. So it's really similar.
Beatstars.
No.
I don't think BeatStars. I think you'd have to go to a different different platform for that.
I could have left the audio.
BeatStars is much fairer than say OnlyFans in terms
I don't know.
of them not taking a percentage, but you know, multiple income streams is something that I encourage. So if that's how you get it, that's how you get it. How do you stay motivated day after day to be productive and to be creative?
Ooh, that's a.
I think it's very
doozy of a question.
Like, I think that answer is probably different for a lot of people. I mean, I try to be grateful and like that I can make music for a living. You know, walk outside and appreciate Los Angeles, like great weather. It's just like
Schmog.
inspiring. Yeah. Yeah, and I have my goals that I write down every morning. And I know that if I feel like I am on pace to achieving those goals, long term, short term, whatever, then I feel very happy with myself, and I'm like, okay, let's keep doing this.
Yeah. No, I mean, in terms of motivation, honestly, like, just another benefit to having a team. Like, to me, I find having my community, like, around me, my team around me, be super motivational. Like, just hard. It's super hard to stay disciplined and, like, do your thing when you're doing it solo, you know. And Jake, you know, you would know best about that. So, but nah, like, having a team is just motivational. And then, you know, on top of that, like, being able to like actually see yourself get better in front of your eyes is huge. And like, you know, once you get your first placement, there's a different type of security in your mindset and like in your mentality that really helps like cement, you know, your talent and what you can do in the industry. So
Yeah.
See, this is what we call
Done beats.
isn't that praxis? Is that what we call praxis? No, the porn conversations. I'm not cutting that out. I'm sex positive. I don't care. I support whatever consenting adults want to do. How do you balance making so many beats, even if you're not? Because I know Tyler, you're still making beats.
Yeah.
How do you balance making beats, whether you're Nick Nash who's making 8,000 beats a week and uploading them all, or a Tyler who's a little more conservative with his public uploads? How do you balance beat making with loop making?
I make loops by day and make beats by night. To be honest with you, yeah, like when I usually just on my off time, like I take that as almost like a wind down time. Like, when I got my free time, that's when I'm cooking up by myself.
For me, it's just as simple as I sit down at the computer and I say, hey, do I want to make a loop right now or a beat right now?
Do I want to make a loop or do I want to make a beat?
But sometimes so you're keeping yourself on a schedule too, though, Nick, because you want to hit that 2 beat a day mark so that you don't fall behind Tundra.
I wouldn't even say it's a schedule, to be honest. I tend to make enough stuff throughout the day that I have 2 beats that I'm happy with posting by the end of the day anyways.
Okay.
And some of that's making beats with my own loops too, so I can knock out like a 2-for-1 by doing that.
So question for both of you, what's your policy on beats that you make? And then, I guess when it comes to using your own loops or leasing beats, do you shop a lot of those same loops and some of those same beats for placement as well, or do you separate the two?
I do. I send indie artists, I send the same loops that I send to major artists and the same beats that I upload to BeatStars. And if you tell me it landed, then I'll take it off. If you don't, then I won't.
Yeah. My approach, I'm not really on I don't do online sales anymore as often as I used to. So 95% of my sales either come through sessions or just personal connections. And so whether that's doing the same thing, sending out to indie or major artists, that's where most of my focus goes. And then same policy, like if it gets landed, then I let the people know, or, I just make it known that that loop is done or that beat's gone.
Okay, what does that look like, a session for you where you're selling beats? How does that get arranged, and how do you
that can be in person. It cannot be in person either. Like to me, like if someone comes to me and contracts me out for hire, then I'll make your beat and it's just an exclusive price, and then that it is what it is. When it comes to sessions, it's not so much like an upfront price unless they want to offer that. But just like anyone else, if someone wants to hit me up and make music, then I set aside time like I would for any client and run a session with them and create music. And then we obviously handle the publishing and the back end at the end of that.
Got it. A lot of producers will say, get your paperwork done up front. And I kind of feel like that's naive because, I've never jumped in the studio and been like, all right, before we start working, before we even start having a conversation, let's sign this split sheet for music that doesn't even exist.
Is that actually how music used to work?
Are you asking me?
Or anybody in the chat? Like, does anyone know?
Because I'm not that old. I don't know what was happening in Nash.
Yeah, that was
in the 60s.
What's up, Nick? Hey, it's weird. It's funny is like when I first started making beats, the amount of people that were pressing me on that shit for whatever reason. And so like in my mind, I was like, I got to print out split sheets and bring it to my sessions. That was never a conversation. And anytime that I did attempt it, it just is awkward as hell. Like everyone looks at you like you're a fucking weirdo, Like at the end of the day, we're all gonna make money. So get your music done and then deal with it at the back end. Like just remember what you did and call it a day.
Yeah, and I've evolved past that and tell me if this is how you would feel like if you started working with a new session player or songwriter or something, and either they or their management was like, no, we can't work until we really hash out the business details. That's kind of, for me, that's kind of a turnoff. I don't know how you feel, because it's like, I don't even know if we have the creative chemistry yet. And obviously, I don't have a problem discussing terms, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be so formal. I don't know.
I think it's dependent, like, you know, depending on your situation. Like, you know, if I have a session player that I've worked with often, usually we're kind of on the same understanding that, like, I'm either paying you up front, I know how you play, and you're getting contract for hire, like, that's it. Or, you know, it's not talked about at all, and we just both know, like, we're going to split this as if it was a loop, like you get 50 or 25-25 kind of thing, you know, if we're making a loop or a beat or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in agreement with you. I think
Okay, there we
cool.
go.
Are we back?
Yeah, you never left. Maybe the audio or the video glitched, but your audio is good.
She's fucking
That's my
Oh,
phone.
they can't hear me.
shit. Too far.
Oh,
Is he on the
man.
phone?
Damn, man, it's all good, brother.
Can you guys hear me?
Are we back?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. I think it's okay. Cool.
You were
Yep,
there the whole
we're gonna-
time, so I'm glad you didn't say anything horrible.
I almost did. But
Well,
no,
here-
I
here's
agree
the-
with you in that.
Okay, here's a question for both of you. Reflect on when your lives changed and you became career music producers. What actions or habits can you pinpoint that led up to reaching that level of success?
For me, I guess it's kind of a weird answer. I always had a plan, like, since I was in high school, that, okay, I'm not going to go past my sophomore year of college. And if I'm not making a living off of music by the end of my sophomore year of college, I'm just going to drop out of college and figure it out, like get a job at flipping burgers or whatever. And so I wasn't making a living off of music necessarily when I dropped out. I was making about $800 to $1,000 a month. But I figured that I was close enough and I could kind of see what was going on around me that I asked my parents if I could live with them for a year, just take like a gap year and see if I could really do this. And I was like, okay, you know what? I can do this within a year. And thank God I did, because looking back on it, I could have really screwed my life up. Like what if I failed to do this? It's a bit stubborn. I guess I'm just stubborn, but that's how it was.
I mean, you have to be stubborn to do something like this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, to me, when I moved to Maryland when I was like 15, and I met two people there that became my best friends, and they were stupid talented at music, and I was complete cheeks at it, like so bad. And it pissed me off enough to get inspired to like go find something to do in music. And I had already tried, you know, all the instruments. I can play piano and I can play drums now. But it was like through that like just insane urge to like get good at something to match their level in terms of making music that I found Logic and I found production. And funny enough, like the thing to me, like the thing that set me apart and allowed me to do this full time was discipline, number one, and number two, being okay with like sacrifice. Like the amount of people that I had like lost in my life because I decided to take this route, and a lot of my time was spent doing this, and not, you know, spending time with people that I used to hang out with. I think it paid off, you know, and I think it always will. Like, it's just, you put in the work and the time and the dedication, and you don't give yourself an alternative, like, you're bound to make it. You know, obviously, objectively, you need to be talented and have the skills to be able to learn. But at the end of the day, it comes down to dedication and just being okay and mature enough to know like what's worth sacrificing and what's not worth sacrificing.
Okay, so we're gonna get a bunch of Illuminati comments.
Absolutely, yeah.
So sacrifice it. Which friends did you sacrifice? Was it a blood ritual? Was it?
Yeah. It was.
A blood pact.
Yeah. So the two best friends that I was talking about, they're gone now, and that's pretty much it.
In all seriousness, though, sacrificing social ties or sacrificing, I guess, a social life
Yeah, 100%.
And the other thing is that, tell me more about that. I mean, that's something a lot of people aren't willing to do.
Yeah. So, well, nah, it sucked. Like for sure, like it put me in a bad state for a little bit because I just didn't understand. I just didn't understand the bigger picture. But yeah, it was my social life that I was giving up. When I was young, you know, I can't even remember now. 16 or 17 when I started doing like production and I really got into it. And up until I was about 20 years old is 20 is when I hit the mark and I was doing this full time. And I was in the same boat as Nick. Like I wasn't making a shit ton of money, you know, it was a joke, you know, but the joke actually turned into a sustainable career as far as I was concerned. And so, yeah, man, it was my social life and just like the regular things that you would do as a, you know, 17, 18, 19-year-old kid, like just giving that up to pursue something that is bigger than yourself, which obviously is cliche and everyone kind of understands that. But when you live it, it's different, man. It's like, and you see the reward from it. It's cool.
Nick, you recently tweeted the following: labels and distributors should have to itemize to the producer exactly what money is being spent on marketing if I have to recoup those costs, or at the very least disclose what the budget that I have to recoup is. Explain recoupment and how it's problematic for producers. This is a big conversation.
For example, this independent artist, his management, but he's not with a label I work with. He recently, for the last 2 songs we did, got a $5,000 marketing budget, which is great. Well, on one of the records I have 14% of, and the other record I have 12% of. I can't get paid those royalties until that $5,000 is recouped from the 100% of the song. In certain records, I don't know what the marketing budget is. I don't know what money is being spent on, and I just have to sit here and hope that it's not, you know, $200,000 like for the Sleepy Hollow record. I don't know what the marketing budget is for that. Chances are I might not even get paid on my master royalty for that because it never recoups. And I shouldn't have to ask like an independent artist or a signed artist every single time, hey, what's the marketing budget for this record? So that I can know, you know, how many plays does this record need to get before I start getting paid.
I've been getting a ton of flack, like really badly, for having the audacity to assert that an advance is not a loan. Do you have to pay back your advance if you don't recoup?
No.
Okay, there. And that's all I want to say.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay it back. A lot of people, there's this narrative out there that an advance is a loan, and we all know that loans you have to pay back with interest. Otherwise, you get screwed in all kinds of ways. They'll come after you for your money. That's not how it is in the music business. End of story. You don't like it, unfollow me. Anyway, this is what throws me off about this conversation. I've heard producers say, I want to take a lower advance so I can recoup faster. But as you said, Nick, if recoupment isn't in your favor and it might not ever happen, shouldn't you just get as much money up front as possible?
Absolutely.